So in this lesson, we're going to learn about the topographical design using the digital image that we created last week of the woman running on the beach, where in that photo, we created a different background with a fading shadow that was blurred. We also used puppet warp on her neck and her head. So in this lesson, you'll learn the following. You'll use guides to position text in a composition. You'll make a clipping mask, merge and type with other layers, preview fonts, format text using effects on them, type text along a path, control and positioning using advanced features. So open a Lesson 9 folder in Adobe Bridge after you've downloaded it, and you should see the files. So open your folder from last week. I asked you to save the photo so you could use it this week. And so this is Lesson 8 from last week for me. So I'm just going to grab the Lesson 8 runner and drag it into Lesson 9. So then Lesson 9 has the actual photo in it. Then I'm going to take and I'm going to open Bridge. And Bridge will have your Lesson 8 photo that you just dragged in there, best running shoes, Runner's World logo, and a text document for the headlines that you're going to place on the front of this magazine cover. So let's open the runner image. You can double click on it. That'll open it in Photoshop. And here you have the runner from last week. You'll notice that all your layers are still here from last week. So if you wanted to change something, you could. It's completely up to you. Now let's go back to Bridge and open up Runner's World logo, and we'll just double click on that as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to erase some of the stuff that's really difficult to mask. So I'm going to take the eraser tool and I'm going to make the it a little bit bigger, and I'm going to erase the date here. And I'm also going to erase the trademark. And the reason why I'm doing that is it's just so small that it will be too hard to get a good mask around that. So we're going to grab the Magic Wand tool, and because Magic Wand tool selects based off of a gradient or color, we're going to select the black. And I'm holding the Shift key down as I select each particular black. Then simply click on the Add Mask tool, and it will add a mask. Now, see the word world, it's not correct. So I'm going to go back, undo, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to select with the hit Shift and click on the inside of the W there and the inside of the D. And then I'm going to hit the mask tool again. Oh, look at, I missed the R. So I'm going to go undo again, Command Z or Control Z. I'll zoom in so we can see it. And then click on that and hit the mask again. And there it looks a lot better. So if we just grab this mask here and drag it to the runner tab here and drop it on here, it'll drop the runner logo right onto the photo. Then simply click on the move tool and move it where you want so it's at the top of the magazine cover. It looks really good there. And then we're going to double click this layer and rename it Runner's World. And I'm going to say logo, just to keep everything straight in this particular on the layer palette. Okay, let's go back to Bridge then. We'll click on the best running shoes, and we'll double click on it and open it up. And then we'll just simply drag this over to the runners tab and then drop it on here. So it should look like this. So we're going to double click on the layer of shoes and call it Shoes Fill. Again, keeping all our layers organized. Then we're just going to right click on it and create a clipping mask. And because what it does is it takes this mask here, it'll fill it in. So when you do this, create a clipping mask, then the it's only clipped to based off of the mask below it. I'm going to click on the move tool, and then I'm going to actually move so that you can see the word world a little bit better. I'm just going to move the shoes until I find it. It looks pretty good. There. So because the word world is just, it's hard to read a little bit, so I'm just going to make it, because it's so small, just make it look a little better. You can also change the size of this particular, the photo behind it if you want. You can do a lot of manipulation, but at this point, I'm not going to do that. So see the little arrow next to on this layer here. This means it's a clipping mask to this particular mask here. So it's a little bit hard to read. So what I'm going to also do is I'm going to adjust the opacity to about 89%. So it's just a little bit not so brilliant or, opaque. So the next thing I'm also going to do is, because it's so hard to read, I'm going to click on the actual Runner's World logo layer. And I'm going to add some effects. I'm going to do outer glow. And then I'm going to set the blend mode to normal. Opacity is 100%. Noise is going to be 10. Color, I'll double click on it and I'm going to make it black. Technique is going to be precise. Spread is 25. Size is 12. Range is 50%. Jitter is 0. And I'm just going to select OK. So now you can see the effects are there, and you can see definitely on the top it has an outer glow on it. I feel it's a little hard to read, so I'm going to go to the shoes fill and use the move tool and move the fill so that it looks a little bit better and it's easier to read. So now we'll zoom in so that it's pretty wide here. And we see the Runner's World. So if you don't see the rulers in Photoshop, just hit Command R or Control R and the rulers will pop up. You can center the rulers by grabbing the corner here and dropping it on the edge of your photo here, so that it'll put 0 and 0 for vertical and horizontal right there. You'll notice that the image is about 1700 pixels wide. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag from this side all the way to 850. This is kind of about the middle of the photo itself. And then we're going to drag another one to the 50 mark so that we don't go any farther over with our headlines. So the next thing I'll do is we'll go back to Bridge, and we're going to just double click on the text, and here you'll have it should open on a PC. It should open in like WordPad or Word or whatever you have. Hopefully it opens. If not, you can just copy what I type in. I just wanted it to be quick. So in this case, it opens in Text Edit on a Mac. We're going to copy the first line. Get fit fast. I'm going to simply copy it. We'll go back to Photoshop. And then we'll go to the very first. Then we'll go to the text tool, horizontal type tool. And then I'm going to go down to below the Runner's World logo. And I'm going to click right here. And I'm going to paste it. and it's tiny. So then I'm going to double click on it and highlight it. I'm going to go to the character window, and it'll open it up. So then we're going to change it. So the font is just going to be Arial. I'm going to make it a bold italic. Size 120. And click on, double click on, or click on the color, and we'll make it red. I'm going to just put in the hex code because it's just easier for me. So it's D80404. And hit OK. And there you have it. If you click off of it, you can see it a little bit better. So then I'm going to then click and move this over just a hair so that it's not really touching her forehead. So I'm going to double click in the middle here. I'm going to, and then I'm going to actually do a return. Now, when I do a return, and if it jumbles like that, the part of the reason is because your leading is set too low. I'm just going to set it to auto. And then I'm going to look at it. And I think it's just still a little bit too much. So I probably will just set it to the same as the font size. It brings it up a little bit better. So I'm going to go back to the text document and copy the next line. Go back to Photoshop, click on the horizontal type tool, and we're going to paste it below Get Fit Fast. This is the subheadline. Single click on the layer to make it permanent, and then double click on the T. It will highlight the text. And I'm going to make the font Helvetica. I'm going to make it bold. Text 48. I'm going to just make leading 48 just so I have it. And again, I'm going to make the color, again, I'm going to change that. I'm going to make it black. Then I'm going to add some returns in this. And the reason I'm doing that is obviously I don't want it to run over her face. So I'll try to put some returns in there. Now, as an editor, former editor at the newspaper, you don't usually want to break up prepositional phrases like in minimum time for your vacation. You have to break in the plan for maximum gains. It's just no way around it. But if you can help it, try not to break any prepositional phrases. So let me make the Photoshop interface a little bit bigger so you can see it a little better. Okay, I'm going to go then back to the text document, click on how running keeps your brain young. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to click on the horizontal type tool, click here. I'll paste it in. Again, click once on the layer to make it a permanent. Double click on the thumbnail on that layer to highlight it. We'll go in and change all the fonts and things like that. So I'm going to make this one chalkboard. Regular. Font size 88. Leading 88. Actually, I'm going to make leading 80. Gets a little bit tighter between spaces. And I'm going to change the color to 0C4C80, which is a blue. And then hit enter. And again, I'll add some returns. Go back to the text tool, or go back to the text document. Copy 14 must try spring races. Back to the horizontal type tool. Click and paste. Again, click on the layer once to make it permanent. Double click on the thumbnail to highlight it. Choose the font. MyRad Pro, regular. Make it 94. The leading, I'm going to make it 90 again. Again, it's smaller than the font size. Click on the color, and I'm going to make it 04710A, which is a green. Throw in some returns. Go back to the text document again. Highlight running your worries away, copy it. Horizontal text type tool. Again, getting a little bit of repetition, but it's okay. Again, click on the layer once. Double click on the thumbnail. And I'm going to do marker felt. Thin. Now, again, if you guys don't have any of these fonts, it's okay to choose something different. I just want to make sure that that you're changing fonts, changing sizes. So this is 100 and leading is 90. Now for this color, let's do something different. We're going to click on the color and then let's select the color of her pants. So once you click on the color picker, if you go off the color picker, it becomes a eyedropper, and then you can select the color and then just hit OK. Again, we'll just put a return in there. And I'm going to move this font or this headline up just a hair so it's not on her hand. Now we'll go back to the text. Select 27 unlikely runner superfoods. We'll copy it. Back to Photoshop, horizontal type tool. Click on it. Paste it in. Again, click once on the layer, double click on the icon. I'm going to do Arial black for the font. regular, size 91, leading 90, click on the color, D8, E502, which is a yellow, hit OK. Looking at that, let's just double click on the icon if it's not selected. Let's actually change the leading a little bit. And the size. So let's make the size 68 instead. And the leading 68. And we're going to put a couple returns in here. And then I'm going to move the text down just a hair so it's around, wrapping around Rand. I don't mind if it goes into her clothing here. I'm just trying to avoid going on her skin. So looking at this image, I find that the main headline, Get Fit Fast, is not bold enough. It's not big enough. It needs to be a little bit more strong. So just click on the, scroll down and click on the Get Fit Fast layer. And we'll click on the effects. And we're going to go to stroke. So what stroke will do is it'll add a color to the edge of the layer so you can you can position it on the inside or outside of the letters. In this case, we're going to make it more bold. So the nice thing about these effects is you can change them later if needed. So our size is going to be 5. Position, going to be outside. Opacity, 100%. And we're just going to keep it black. So just make sure it's 0000 and hit OK. And then hit OK again. And it looks a lot more attention grabbing. So now the plan for maximum gains, that needs more attention. So again, we'll click on that. And we're going to move the effects from one to the other. So if you click on this effects, hold the option key down and click on it and drag it, it'll copy it to the other line. Now it looks way, way, way too thick. So let's fix the stroke on that. So just double click on the stroke and make sure that stroke is selected. And let's change the size to 1. And then everything else should be the same. Outside normal. Let's set the opacity to 50. And that'll give the illusion of being thinner. Because I can't make it the size 0.5 or half a point, the opacity will give it that illusion of being even thinner. Make sure your color is the same, which is black. It's good, and hit OK. So then the plan for maximum gains and minimum time for your vacation looks a lot better. So let's fix 27 unlikely runner superfoods. We're actually going to highlight that, and we're going to make that a little bit bigger. So you have a head and then a subhead. So I put 91 and 91 for the leading. And then when you unclick on it, it looks a lot better. And then we can just click the move tool and move it down. So let's now add a stroke to that. So if we go down to the Get Fit Fast effects, and on a Mac hold the Option key, on a PC hold the Alt key, and we'll just simply drag that to the 27 unlikely superfoods, and there you go. You got a stroke around that, and it looks really good, and it separates real nicely from the background and the font. So now let's do the exact same thing again, you hold the Option key down or Alt key on a PC and find 14 must-try spring races. And we'll also do the same with running your worries away, and also the same with how running keeps your brain young. So the black is a little much on how running keeps your brain young. So again, we'll find that. Double click on the stroke. I'm going to set it to 3. 14 must-try spring races looks good, but running your worries away just looks a little, actually it looks a little crowded too. So I'll click on that, and I'm going to set the leading to 100. I'll double click on the stroke and knock the stroke down to 3. I'm also going to make it go on 3 lines and center it. So now we're going to take some text and we're going to paste it along a path. So click on the pen tool, click on a point, click and hold and drag, and then click again. And it'll give you a nice path. I'm going to click on the paths, click on the work path, and I'm going to click on the horizontal type tool. And notice when the cursor goes over it, it becomes a squiggly line. That simply means you're going to type along a path. So click on it, and we'll type in US most beautiful trail runs. Now don't worry if it doesn't fit, because we'll just simply double click on it and we'll change the font size. And again, I only have half of it, so if I double click on all of it, here I'll make it a little bit bigger. And there, that's typing along a path. So go under File to Save As. And we're going to save this as Lesson 9 magazine cover. And then if you want to save one as a Photoshop document, .psd for yourself, that'll keep all the layers intact. Go ahead and save it in your Lesson 9 folder. And then just simply go under File, Save As, and then change it to a JPEG. And that one you're going to turn into the Lesson 9. If you have any questions, feel free to email me through Canvas's email system, or you can use the discussions to ask me questions. Have a great week, and talk to you next week.